Digicore is the easiest genre to do sound design for. It literally takes 10 seconds to make most of the sounds you'll ever need. In this video we're gonna use Vital, which is a free synthesizer for sound design and is considered the best alternative for Serum. And here's a quick installation guide for beginners. Go to the site vital.audio and click this Get Vital thing, and then click the basic free version. I never had any trouble with the early access one, so you can just get that one. Accept, next, 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 and install. Once it's done, open FL Studio, go to Options, Manage Plugins, and click this Find Installed Plugins button. Once it's done, just find Vital on the list and click the little star next to one of them. And now every time you open the channel rack and click the plus, you should be able to find Vital right there and open it from here. This looks scary, but actually all we're gonna need is this. Much simpler, right? So this part is the oscillator that plays a sound wave. If you click this right arrow here, you're gonna load up the basic shapes preset and you can change between the waves with this slider. Now we have
7 basic waves. We have a sine wave with brain damage, triangle wave, slow wave, square wave with ADHD, square wave with autism. Sine waves are used for sub-bases, sine waves are for everything. Square waves are for blocks and leads, and everything else is pretty much useless.
Let's start by one of the most often used sounds in digicore beats, which is a square pluck. So I'm gonna choose the ADHD square thing. And now it's technically a lead, because notice that the volume doesn't change, like it's not plucky, it's just constant, right? So here we have the envelope, and the envelope controls the volume of the sound over time. So everything we're gonna need for now is the decay and sustain. Basically, if the sustain is at 100%, it's gonna be a lead, and if it's at 0%, it's gonna be a pluck. And the decay controls how long the pluck is. So we can have a short pluck or a long pluck. So let's make like a medium pluck. That's nice, but we can make it better. Let's go to the Effects tab and add some delay. I usually like my delay at 1/4 the tempo. To make the delay more subtle, you can adjust the mix. And another great effect you can experiment with is the compressor. The essence of sound design and what actually makes your sounds unique is the ability to stack oscillators on top of each other. So you can have 2 waves playing at the same time. So to my square pluck, I'm gonna add another oscillator. Watch what happens. If you're layering different waves on top of each other, it's really useful to play with the unison. So watch this. Instead of just one saw wave, we can have 16 saw waves playing at the same time with different pannings. That creates a really nice wide and stereo effect for the wave. And that layers really nicely with our square wave. Then you can adjust the level of your layer right here. Let's make another sound. I'm gonna make another pluck, but this time with a twist. Just like before, I'm gonna select the basic shapes preset, and then I'm gonna get the ADHD square wave. And since we are making a pluck, I'm also gonna turn down the sustain to 0 and the decay a little bit as well. But now we're gonna make it glidey. And the way to do this is increase the glide and turn on the always glide button right there. Let's also add some delay to this one, and this time we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna set the mode to ping pong, which is gonna make our delay jump from the left to the right ear. I'm gonna choose the delay tempo to 1/4 again, and I'm also gonna change the timing to tempo dotted. It just has a completely different rhythm. How about we make a lead now? Let's leave the preset as a saw wave. And this time we're not going to touch the sustain because we want to make it a lead. What we are going to change though is the amount of voices and the glide as well. So the voices parameter controls how many notes your sound can play at once. So if you have multiple voices, you can do chords. But if you have one voice, you can only do one. This is useful so you can easily play patterns like this. We're gonna turn up the glide as well and turn on the always glide. I think we can increase the unison for this one. And I'm gonna try layering it with another wave. I really like this autism square wave. It already sounds like very 8-bit. Let's add some delay as we did before. Let's do ping pong. Let's turn down the mix and also the feedback. The feedback controls how many times the delay plays. So if you have a very short feedback like this, it's gonna fade out way quicker. And if you have a longer feedback, it feels like it's gonna go on forever. If your feedback is too short, that delay just isn't really gonna be hearable and it's not gonna be harmonious. And if your feedback is too long, you're just gonna make your sounds really messy. Now we're gonna add another effect I really like, especially for digicore, and that's distortion, and particularly the downsample distortion. So it has this very special old video game characteristic. Just mess with the drive and maybe the mix if it's too harsh for you. I like it like this. Alright, we made something pretty cool, but we need a bass. And I think it's so funny that most of the digicore beats, the best selling digicore beats, have this very particular reese bass. And this reese bass is just a basic saw wave with the unison set to 16 voices. So it doesn't sound much like a bass right now, but if I get my chord progression and play it at a lower octave, so cool, right? Another sound that gets used in digicore beats often, and one that's also really easy to make, is a bitcrushed sine wave. So you go to your basic shapes preset, you go to the effects tab, you enable the distortion, set the type to downsample, and mess with the drive. I like my leads glidey, so I'm gonna turn down the amount of voices to 1, turn up the glide, and turn on always glide. Let's go back to this lead we made before. We can make it sound a bit cooler if we enable the noise generator. Getting white noise to your sounds can make them sound a bit more full. So obviously you need to be careful not to overuse it. You can change the type of noise here with this arrow. I like this pink noise.
But these noises have one big flaw. They generate a lot of low frequencies you usually don't want in your melody sounds. Because if your melody sounds have a lot of low frequencies, or so-called low end, your entire song's mix is going to sound messy. Your entire song's mix is going to sound messy, and we don't want that. Therefore, we're gonna go to the Effects tab and turn on the EQ. The EQ, short for equalizer, can remove chosen frequencies from your sounds. Now let's remove all of the low frequencies from our lead.
So you click this. So obviously don't overdo it. I usually like to have it around here. And also in digicore we tend to have sounds with a lot of high end, so you can always boost high end as well. If you use scroll, you can adjust the sharpness of an EQ curve. So now it's pretty sharp. If I scroll down with my mouse, it's going to be a little bit more gentle. And if I scroll up, you can make it even more sharp if you want to create some really weird effects. So back to the square pluck we made before. There's a cool thing you can do in Vital also. You can actually easily modify the sound of your wave with this knob. This knob itself doesn't do anything, but you can switch modes for this knob. So this is called the spectral morph, and I'm just gonna click the arrow once, and this is the first preset, this is the vocode thing, and watch what happens to our wave when we tweak the knob. We can do the same for our square wave. So that's a cool way to make your sounds more unique. We can play with different modes, form scale, whatever that means. And here you go, that's a completely different sound. The possibilities of Vital are endless if you're willing to go through all of the features, but there is one very important feature I didn't go through yet. I'm gonna show you an example of it on a sine wave. So let's say we want this sound to vibrate. So there's this thing called tune, and you can adjust the tune So that's cool, but how would you even automate this? It's actually really easy because we have these things called LFOs. So if you get your cursor on the first LFO, you'll have this weird icon here. So if you hold your left mouse button and you have this little blue highlight on everything that you can automate. So we're gonna drag it to the tune parameter. And now when we play our sound, it's gonna automate it. Yay. This little knob appeared next to the tune parameter. And with it, you can control how strong your automation is. And if you want your automation to be faster, you can adjust the tempo on the LFO here. I'm gonna add some bitcrush to this sine wave. Well, it's technically downsample, but most people just call it bitcrush anyway. I'm actually gonna add a saw wave and do the same thing for this. So drag the LFO again. Let's boost the unison. And let's modify our sine wave. In our saw wave too, why not? The pitch isn't the only thing you can automate. You have multiple LFOs. I'm gonna go to the second LFO, and I'm gonna automate this changing of the wave, this spectral morph, and I'm gonna create a really interesting effect. Look at this. So it sounds like this right now. I'm gonna drag it to this knob. You can also modify the shape of the LFO itself, so you can make this like really punchy. You can also use the envelopes, so we're gonna make a plucky envelope like this, and let's say drag it to the level of the first wave. I'm gonna add some hard clip distortion, and I might have just created a dubstep bass, hold on. Maybe not dubstep, but drum and bass for sure. Let's put that one in place of our previous reese bass. I hope this video helped you get a grasp of sound design. Honestly, the best way to learn sound design is just to experiment yourself. Like, literally, here's a challenge. Open Vido. You're gonna make a beat where all of the melody elements are gonna be designed by you in Vido. So no using presets, you can only design sounds. Thanks so much for watching, and I really encourage you to experiment yourself. I'll see you very soon.